This is a technical message from Building Control Surveyors, corporate approved inspectors. This message relates to requirement B4 of the building regulations. The risk of fire spreading from one building to another needs to be considered and the risk reduced, in order to prevent a fire originating in one building becoming a major incident by spreading to other buildings. To reduce this risk, requirement B4 of the building regulations in England and Wales restricts the amount of surface area on the side of a building that does not meet the minimum fire resistance standards. Building regulation guidance in respect to this aspect differs slightly between the countries forming the United Kingdom, although they are all based on the same principle of restricting the amount of heat through fire that can be transferred from one building to another. Designing and constructing new buildings to limit the risk of fire spread between buildings can be complicated, and so time and effort should be applied by building specifiers, designers and construction specialists in order to limit this risk. To make this process easier for designers and builders, guidance to the regulations contained within the approved document Part P gives some basic methods to determine the amount of allowable area of wall that does not need to meet the minimum fire resistance standards. This is known as the unprotected area. There are 6 methods available to calculate acceptable distances to a boundary in respect to the requirement B4. The approved document Part B describes 2 popular methods for calculating the acceptable amount of unprotected area in an external wall. In addition, it also refers to a more precise method called BR 187, produced by the Building Research Establishment. Designers may also use fire engineering approaches, prepared and produced by specialists. So in brief, Method 1 described within the approved document relates to developments involving small buildings to be used as flats or dwelling houses, not exceeding 3 stories in height or 24 meters in length within Method 1. Method 2 is used for buildings or compartments where Method 1 was not appropriate. In Method 2, the building being considered should not exceed 10 meters in height. Each side of the building should meet the limits stated in Table 11.1 of the approved document Part B Volume 1. In an otherwise protected wall, small unprotected areas may be ignored where they meet the conditions in Diagram 11.5. A point to be noted is that in either case, if sprinklers are proposed as a fire suppression method within buildings, and are fitted throughout in accordance with Appendix E of the approved document, then, either the boundary distance can be halved to a minimum distance of 1 meter or the amount of unprotected area can be doubled. Any of the methodologies prove unacceptable levels of unprotected openings, then the designer must reduce the number or scale of the risk. As always, please seek professional advice from your trained qualified designers. We are of course available to our clients to discuss any technical issues in respect to fire safety matters. This is a message from Building Control Surveyors, corporate approved inspectors, offering building regulation compliance checking services.